In November, Mark Sfirri is going to have a show there. And Mark is one of our most inventive woodturners we have in our community. He lives in Bucks. He's retired from teaching at community college there. I guess it's a state U now. Enormously inventive turner with a new show of entirely new work. It's going to open November 1 at this Museum for Art and Wood in Philadelphia. I should save that info to say again on the hour. I will. Here, I think we've begun. We haven't. But just informally, anybody who can ever get to that museum should go. If you're in Philadelphia
What's Mark's?
with a
What's
couple hours to kill,
Sfirri's first? What's Sfirri's first name?
Mark.
Is it Mark? I
Yeah,
thought it was Rick. Okay.
yeah. Very nice
John,
guy.
a number of years ago, the Lancaster Club organized a tour where a bunch of us went down to the museum, and then they actually took us into some of their behind the scenes stuff, into their stacks or whatever, storage rooms, to show us even more stuff if you want to, which was really quite neat.
Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour number 221 for Thursday, September 26, 2024. My name's John Kelsey. I'll be your moderator today. Before we go to raised hands, we just had the Mid-Atlantic Symposium here this last week. I had a fabulous time. I went to through two and a half of Alan Lacer and one of Nick Cook and one of Mark Harcourt, I guess, and somebody else too. I don't know. And I saw a lot of people, friends of Coffee Hour, members of our club who live away, and guys who live nearby, and people from other clubs to say hi. So it was a very fun weekend. And I think Vasko has a slideshow.
Yes, I do. If you guys don't mind, I will share my screen here. As soon as I get to it, share screen. All right, are we all there?
Everybody got it?
Yep.
Can you make it full
Okay.
screen? Get rid of the furniture? Yeah.
Yep, here we go.
Okay, good.
So this is our Mid-Atlantic, this is my Mid-Atlantic presentation. First thing you do is when you get in, you register and you go right in and see the instant gallery. I have more pictures of the instant gallery, but this is my initial impression. Of course, you see Toby's down there in the bottom left. So that was one of the highlights for me. Here's some more of the instant gallery. And again, we'll get it more into this as we go along. And here's some more. These are the demonstrators, and they were some pretty good stuff there. The first demonstration I went to was Keith Gutschall. I guess he's from Chicago, and we train on the three-legged stool, so I was kind of curious to see how he did it, and he was pretty interesting. If you can see, there's a layout for the seat, and if anybody wants closer view of that, I can get that later. But he shows you don't have to have a fancy jig. If you're only going to do one or two, all you have to do is have two blocks of wood and a drill. I also went and saw Keith doing an off-center plate. He had an interesting approach to it, and that was really kind of fun to see. You actually put two different centers on the bottom. I always thought you had to do from the top, but anyway, he corrected me on all that. I also got to see Nick Cook. One of my future projects is probably going to be some lamps, and lo and behold, there he is making some lamps. He's very homey. He's nice to talk to, and he's my wife's coming in and looking too. He's really good demonstrator. Afterwards, I saw another one of his, and he turned all of these. There's a top. He did his coffee scoop. He did an acorn. He also did a rattle. There's a small snowman, two snowmen at the bottom, and a muddler. So snowman on the left, he said to everybody, don't touch the paint, it's wet. Please don't touch, it's called puff paint. It's still wet, so it came around to me, and I put it on my leg, and it started to roll. And guess what? Yeah, I touched the paint. So there it was. But that's how he does it. I would burn, but he does the puff paint. So it's available at Michael's and all the other places.
I found the deftness that Nick showed in making all that stuff. You know, it was an hour and a half demo. I think there was more stuff went by than even the ones you have here. I don't know, but an awful lot of he talked and he made these things and he made them so quickly and so directly without any screwing around. You know, a remarkable demo and to see. Okay, that's how it is when you really get good at it.
Yeah, and he never stopped the lathe. He just pulled the tailstock away, while it was spinning, jammed the piece into the headstock. So
Can somebody turn off whoever's the background
that's
noises?
John.
It's
That's
my wife.
John.
I'll see if I can do something.
So next, I went to see Stuart Batty. He had a no tears bowl turning demonstration, and Stuart Batty is Stuart Batty. So he had his 40-40 grind, and it was enjoyable. And I think his microphone was a little bit rough. I really couldn't understand him all the time, but he was talking fast, talking loud, and I think there was a problem with the microphone. So,
Yeah, definitely. I could understand his accent, but he was going so fast I couldn't understand much of what he said.
yeah, I could hear John mumbling next to me more than I could hear Stuart going. So
Can I interject on you? I can.
yeah,
Everybody
please
who
do.
had, we tried to talk Rick Baker into the fact that that microphone in that room was bad, and he refused to hear it. So everybody from the symposium who went to that symposium who found that Stuart Batty's microphone was bad, please email Rick Baker and tell him the microphone's got a problem with it.
Okay, will do.
Hey, by the way, Ken, I was going to have this question later. Down in the bottom right, where do you get that faceplate? I want to try that. Or did he make that one by putting studs in a retainer or what?
It's probably I can't remember where he got it from, but he did say it was somebody had sold it. But he says, yeah, it's easy to do. All you have to do is make a regular faceplate and drill some holes in it, and then put some ground screws into it.
Yeah,
So,
stainless steel screws.
yeah. So do you remember, John, where those came from?
No, but
Excuse me. I think it was Big Monk had those
okay.
display.
Okay.
Okay, but I only got to see one of Stewart's because I was a little disappointed with the audio. So, but there are other ones to go to. So, another one that I'd never heard of Mark Hancock, but I really enjoyed his presentation. He showed this pot, I guess it's on the right side there, and he basically turned two of them, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then he cut it out. You can see at the bottom left where they cut it, how he cut it out. But one of the things he wanted to make sure he did is had the bottom part of the upper bowl and that it flowed into the side, even though you had an interruption of wood there. So he used one of those. I don't remember the name of the tool, but the tool up in the top. He just put it in there, and he got a really nice profile. And every time he turned a little, he brought it out and he looked and seen if he was lining up. So this was a smooth line. Do you see my mouse there?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was smooth. He used this tool to make sure that this radius and this radius all blended together, so he could go around that outer bowl. That was really pretty interesting. He was a good speaker. I enjoyed watching him a lot, and I'd never heard of him before, quite honestly. Of course, then got the Alan Lacer, and he did some lidded boxes. And again, Alan is really a really good demonstrator, and very personable, able to answer all your questions. You know, he's just one of us. It seemed like he was just one of us. So that was nice. He showed some of his tools. He was talking about on the upper left, he's talking about his everybody gets a point tool in their standard selection of tools when you buy a set. And he gets it and he turns it into a box scraper by lengthening one side. He has a little bit of a radius there. You can see it. He also talked about the termite, and in the bottom right, he has a little hook tool that he uses. And he uses all those. I was surprised he went through and did used them on every one of the box that he made. Also at top right, those were the drives that he has, and he shows on the left side one, he puts little notches, 3 little notches in the tool in the drive so that it grabs a little bit better. And I thought that was a little clever thing to do. So, of course,
I was very impressed with the scraper class in the box making. I mean, I use a lot of little scrapers in the boxes I make, but I was not understanding about bevels the way I got it from Alan, both bevels and burrs. So that was a great class for me.
yeah, I enjoyed that class a lot too. So, of course, one of the highlights is there's a big auction and a banquet, and there's the meal. You can see the meal up on the left, and picture of my meal. But in the bottom 2 pictures, it was a study in carrot cake. So if you can see on the table, everybody has carrot cake, and I think that was one of the highlights. And oh, look, there's John in the background. How about that? So here's a display of John at work, and here's a demonstrator.
It's Laser.
Yeah, Alan Laser. I guess he was helping John do his work, and you can see a concentration and study up there on the right. And then here's my favorite. This was kind of the highlight of this show, and there's John concentrating and getting the perfect shop and being very well satisfied with it.
Now you didn't get Sarah also, because Sarah Krill was also there working the camera boom.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I never got a picture of her. She wasn't in any of the ones that I had done. So anyway, those are the kind of just the highlights of what I did. So
Great show. Thank you very much.
yeah, I also have
Let's stop your share.
yeah, go ahead.
I think you have to do it at your end. I'm stuck here. Yeah, stop it at your end.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
Okay, now I lose the screen. What's going on here? Well,
You want me to stop share?
Yes, stop the share.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's there. Now we got you back. That's what I want. All right. Any questions or more comments on Mid-Atlantic from anybody who was there would like to talk about it?
Mark Hancock is a very good turner. We've had him over here, but he's one of the guys who, when he was here, he knocked his arm back, caught it on the Tavistock Life Centre, and ended up in the hospital on his way home to get 14 stitches in his elbow. But he's a very good turner, and those leg boxes are extremely thought of over here.
The interesting thing about him was he, at least the demo I was in, he made round bottoms on the inside, which I thought takes away some of the challenge of making a box like John does, you know, where you got square sides or whatever. To me, that tempted me to try boxes, but yeah.
Well, you kind of want both, you know. The ultimate inside box could be round, but there's still lots of places for square, especially with what I'm doing now, but I might not even get to that today. Anybody else on the Mid-Atlantic? Well, if you're ever in the area of any of the regional symposia that AAW clubs sponsor, you must go. I much prefer the weekend regional events to the big national. The national is just too big. It's a fire hose. The hall is too big. There's too much going on at any one time. It's too long, too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Where these regional events are really manageable. So highly recommend them.
I can just say I really enjoyed meeting all you guys in the coffee hour that I don't get to see on a regular basis. So it was, seeing everybody up in person, I actually know how tall Ken Vasko is. So now,
Yeah.
So do I.
He's a lot more
yeah,
imposing in person than he is on the screen. So
exactly.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah,
think that's a compliment.
it is.
one of
John?
the board members said it was a record uh, participation, record turnout.
For the vendors, I think, yeah.
Or
Record attendance, and I think I heard the vendors did very well. They certainly did well by me. Or
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the people who moved the lathes in and out. That was quite a deal, and I give them a lot of credit for doing that. It's not easy, and they don't have much time to move things around. So just want to do a shout out to those people. They were all great, and a lot of them are in this event right now. So
yeah,
congratulations.
it's a military operation, that's for sure. And since our club has done it every year or every Mid-Atlantic, it's become a military operation that a number of guys have done a number of times. So they learned how to do it, and they've got the equipment. They've got those motorcycle lifts for the lathes. That really helps.
There was something new at the show that, at least for me, although I didn't participate, there was like a continuous session on either wood burning or embellishment with Michael Keys and Carol Hall and some others instructing. And that when I walked by it, it was always a table full of attendees, very interested. And it was a nice replacement for not having the fourth rotation of a demonstrator.
Yeah, and that made the lathe moving a whole lot easier to do it that way too. So I thought that
Yeah.
was a terrific addition. A very creative scheduling and a good addition to the event. Anybody else?
Can
No,
I
you
say?
didn't
Can
go
I?
eat your hearts out. Doug,
Can
go.
I just, sorry, can I just say from the moving point of view, I know we didn't have a contest at the end afterwards of lathe turners and everything, people turning things at the banquet, but it made that change and having that auction instead made it a whole lot easier for us movers to get in there and get a job done, so we didn't have to wait until all hours of the night to get home. So
Yeah.
thanks to the guys for reorganizing that.
In the past, there's been a competition involving lathes, so those lathes had to stay behind, be the last to load. But they didn't do that this time. They just had it be auctions and chances to buy stuff and win raffles and things. It was fine. It was fun. It was good to yak with the people from away.
it seemed like the instant gallery is fuller than ever, and seemed to really cram. They got to reorganize that room. I liked it better when it was in the separate room. It was just way too full, but there was wonderful stuff there. So
I think if they could use the space a little differently and make that work, swap the class, put the class space where they had instant gallery, and put the instant gallery where they had the classes. I think that would probably work. Well, I don't know. They'll figure it out. They're clever people, and there's people from all the clubs that participate in setting it up on the team there. So, okay,
John, do you want me to do the instant gallery? I have a bunch of pictures from more close-ups of the instant gallery. Up to
yeah,
you.
sure. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
It was an amazing instant gallery.
Yeah, it was very good. Let me make sure I got everything ready. Okay, I'll share screen here and we'll go to the photos. Okay, share. All right, got me?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So I'm just gonna show some of the pictures. This is the first time I went into the instant gallery. Here's just, these pictures were all come via Mike Lebo. I didn't get as good a pictures as he did, so I'm using his. But you can see some of the curious people here.
I'll send the bill, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about them. Oh, here's some important pieces here. You can see. I think we know who did those. John, you want to speak to those?
Oh, they show my magic a coring system using magnetic lasers.
You also had one in the auction too, didn't you?
Yeah, did you get that or somebody else?
No, somebody else got. I'm not real. I'm pretty cheap. I can't help it. Here's some of Toby's stuff. Here's a bunch of miscellaneous things.
Nice work in there. Some of that's Fred Seifert, who's a coffee hour guy. The
Oh, okay.
finister up there, and the stuff on the upper left is Fred's work.
Okay.
Fred might be on screen here.
This is a winner of one of the awards, right? Best in show or something?
Yeah. People's Choice.
Oh, People's Choice. Okay.
This is Tom Ford. I like this work. And this is our friend Bruce Lamb. Bruce is often
There's
here
Bruce.
at the hour.
Yep.
I'm seeing these pieces in person. I love seeing them on screen, and I like even better seeing them in person. They're really remarkable. I don't know where he gets the courage to dab the color on those burls, but he does. So
There's a cowboy hat.
this is one of the demonstrators.
This is Cynthia. I can't remember her last name.
Wife of Hancock, I think. She came like as a bonus package.
Oh, okay. She's the one that did the collaboration with
Right.
Graffin.
Yeah.
Here's some more of the demonstrator pieces. I don't know which one it was exactly.
I don't either. Derek Weidman piece. Nice piece.
Yeah. It's a lot nicer. You can see it was an homage to the Lancaster area. You can see the horse and buggy covered bridge and a farm and thistles. So, and this was a Dale Chase box that went up for auction. I think it was like $500 or something they went for. It's very small, about the size of a walnut.
That's what's deaccessioned from the Museum of Art and Wood. They had quite a lot of Dale Chase boxes. And they kept the best of them and sent the rest out.
John Ziegler won that small box.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good for him.
And then here's the collaboration piece with Cynthia and Richard Raff. And I don't know if you can see it.
Beautiful piece.
Yeah. I actually sent this picture to Richard Raffin, and he said he didn't quite remember it, but he's done quite a few collaborations with Cynthia. And I said, well, how does that work? And he says he went on some wood turning cruises. You know about wood turning cruises?
Yeah, they show up advertised in the back of the journal sometimes. Scandinavia typically, it's just a cruise that has wood turning involved, and they'll give somebody like Raffin a free pass and a little money to come along and turn while the boat is sailing, and then you go visit clog makers, traditional carvers and things.
That's pretty interesting. Well, he says most of his bland pieces he likes to collaborate with because they don't usually sell. But once they get that embellishment, they sell. And here's a piece that's Paula Garden or something. I think that was her name. Yeah, Paula Garden. Yeah, that won one of the prizes too.
Yeah, I think that one best in show. That was entirely turned wood. Amazing.
Yeah, that is a really gorgeous piece. And I think this is the last one. Yep, that's it. That's all I've got.
All right.
Let me stop the share. Yep,
Yeah.
you got it.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
Sure, no problem.
Comments? Should we move along? Okay, let's move along. Let's start with Gerry. Gerry, what would you like to show us today? Yours.
Yeah, I got lost here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to bring us down to earth after all those beautiful pieces, but I think this is me trying to regain some of the skills that went dormant or went away while I was making smokers. Uh, this is it's a walnut bottom, as you can see, and it's about 7 inches wide and 6.5 inches tall, counting the finial. And on Facebook, I said it's a walnut box, but that the lid is definitely not walnut, but I don't know what it is. It was from a billet that was been in my garage for 30 years and was already blackened when I got it. And it turned very nicely. It could be cherry, but I've never seen cherry go so dark. Um, I just don't know what it is, but at this angle down low, it looks like it's walnut. But if you look at it from above down, it goes with the walnut, but it's not walnut. And this is this picture is shot with a cell phone, sitting on the kitchen table, and there's an oven and uh, towels and all sorts of things behind it, but little help from Photoshop. I got all that stuff out, and I think it makes a presentable picture. Um, so I wish I had it in hand because the bottom, John would like the bottom. It's got a little bead down at the bottom, and it's real smooth. I use a mortise instead of a tenon, but then I cut away a whole lot of it, and it looks like I started with a tenon. So that's all I wanted to show.
Okay. Questions and comments?
What's the blue dot?
Blue dot? I don't know. That's not on it. That's
I didn't think
I have
so.
no idea.
Photoshop was intruding.
That's a
Oh,
cursor. That's
it's
a
a
cursor
cursor
marker sometime, yeah.
Okay.
Not actually in the picture.
There.
Good. There we go. I was going, what's that blue dot?
Now I don't have to answer it. It's gone.
You did answer. You took it away.
I
Yeah,
actually
it's
thought that was a nice feature.
yeah, blue dot. Right.
Yeah, everybody
Well,
should put blue dots. Yeah.
yeah,
Very
randomly.
nice. Very nice.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Mike Peace.
Okay, I've been turning some boxes like Gerry, lidded bowls. These are fun. I haven't done many of these and cross grain boxes. This is cherry with some maple top that I put a little pyrography on to add a little bit of detail.
Now, are you making those beads with those Boxmaster tools, or are you make from D-Way, or are you making them some other way?
The small ones, the very small ones, I use the D-Way tool. The larger ones, I just turn with a spindle gouge. I did 3 small ones on the bottom, and I did that with the D-Way tool. But larger ones, I'd prefer to cut it the regular way. That's one. This is out of and these old bowl blanks were 8 and 10 years old respectively, sitting there, and I didn't like the shape. I thought, well, it'll make a nice cross grain box. This one's got some texturing along the rim. This one is ornamental is cherry, and again with a maple lid and some kind of mystery exotic wood I had a little scrap of. I turned the knob. I tend to use a recess on the lidded bowls. And then I have one more that I haven't finished yet. I haven't put any finish on it. I finished this last night. Guy gave me a whole load of mahogany, so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and make a little box. And looked for a piece of wood, a flat piece of wood that I could use contrasting. So I found a piece of oak and used a mahogany top to kind of tie the two together. I've got to go back and clean up the mortise a little bit, soften the edge so it's not as prominent looking.
I can see a lot of your acorn box in that.
Yeah. So those are fun. A little more practical boxes than the smaller ones I tend to make.
Questions for Mike?
Those are gorgeous, Mike. I really liked all of them.
So yeah, you got to make loose lids on those cross grain boxes because they are going to move around. The lid's got to sit down in there and be easy to pick up, or it'll get trapped.
So how many videos did you make out of that?
He's muted.
Just one. It hadn't been released yet, and that was on this one. Although I think
What aspect of it? On the whole box or on some particular part of it?
the whole box.
Okay.
Yeah, but this blank was done in 10 years ago, so I've got a bunch of blanks sitting around, and I finally decided, if I don't use some of these blanks, they're going to wind up in my estate sale, so I better figure out how to start using them.
That's kind of what I've been doing too.
It was a blank, right? Not a rough second turn, right?
No, it was a rough turn bowl.
Oh, okay. That's
18 years old.
Sitting on a shelf with a stack of rough turn bowls, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I had fun roughing out. Roughing out a greenwood bowl was a lot of fun. I got my fun out of just roughing it out, and it's like, okay, when am I going to finish it?
I did that too, Mike, and then I gave the rough turn bowls to Jim.
And I'm having fun making something out of his rough turn blanks. So.
Okay, Mike Brazeau.
This is my second bowl of the year. Get out of this. I got something popping up on my screen. I've got a couple of pictures I'll share as well. This is something I roughed out 13 years ago. So it's a hard maple with a neighbor building a garage and had some trees. So I kind of chickened out. Normally I put a couple of beads on the bottom, but I was a little shaky and tired. And also it was interesting, the sapwood at this area really behaved quite strangely when I was cleaning this off with the vacuum chuck. I couldn't get a nice surface. I had to sand it off. So I really didn't want to try doing a bead in the stuff. It was totally different texture, even though it looks the same. But I'll screen share here. And this is a close-up of this is with the Sorby texturing tool, and the beads are done with a 5/16 inch point tool that I made from some drill rod. And I just kept beating this to death. When I do cherry, you have a lot less texture, and you can get a nice, just a nice pattern. But with this wood, I found it was so hard that I just kept applying it and came to an even finish now.
Almost looks like it looks almost sandblasted.
Well, it's not very deep, the impressions from the point tool. For some reason, my arrow keys won't switch pictures here. What the heck?
You might have to go out of the share. Well, see, there should.
Okay, it's taking me into. I want to show you my favorite bowl gouge. I couldn't edit this on my iPad. I wanted to trim it up a bit, so there's about 30 seconds here. But this is the shearing cut. A finish cut, freshly sharpened. It's going to come up here now. I called it making angel hair. Always safe. Dennis, you'll appreciate that. So your tool rest is below center.
And you're cutting with the bottom wing there, right?
Actually, it's only the contact area would probably be 3 or 4 millimeters only.
Right, of the bottom wing near the nose.
Because I do have a curve in the wing. It's not a.
Yeah.
It comes up to a beautiful finish. When the video stops, you can see the.
We can see in the video We can see in the video that the bowl is out of round. Now, is the gouge?
I hadn't trimmed the top surface yet. This bowl actually was out a half an inch in roundness. So you do all this, completely do the outside before working on the inside of the bowl.
Do you turn the speed up when you're doing the shearing cut?
That was only at about 500 RPM. I built a tachometer. I think I had it on a couple of years ago for my one way. And a lot of people have said, "Oh, why do you need a tachometer?" And I'll tell you, with my old brain, I find it the handiest thing that I've ever had. But it came up, I was able to sand that starting at 120. I guess I'll just stop. I can't get the other pictures up. No.
I'm going to show what happened to me, and I'll go to you last, Bert. I see your hand up, and I see Don did not put his hand up, but I know we left Don hanging last week, so I'm not going to take too long, but I'm going to show you where I got to with box making. I'm going to put the spotlight on me. I'm going to change cameras to this one. Yeah, and I'm going to put the keyboard down. Yeah, okay. When I last left off making magnet boxes a few years ago, this is where I got to. And this is the style that has the magnets pointing up and down. So the walls have to be thick. And this is one of the nicest ones that I kept. This is inlaid on the top to represent the inside of a baseball. I put it in one of the shows, or tried to. It's ash, and I got the grain to all match up. And this was from the three-piece blank, so you can see where the blank was sawn apart and glued back together. And I don't like to make this style of magnet box anymore for two reasons. One, the sides it's inevitably clunky when you're burying the magnets, and the failure rate is high. There's so many ways to bugger it up late in the game that you lose so many, it becomes, gee, do I have to, take the risk? And so I stopped making those things for a couple of years. Here's another one of that style that also was, I thought, particularly nice. It's walnut, but I'd like it to be thinner and lighter. When the walls are this thick, the box pretty much takes on a thick shape. I didn't really want to the grain. I didn't detail it because the grain was so fabulous, so I don't want to fight with the grain. So I got back into it, and I made a lot of boxes that I've showed you in recent weeks, and this was the best one I had made before the Mid-Atlantic, or this was where I got to. And what I like about this is it's slim enough to sit in my trouser pocket comfortably. It's a 3-magnet fit that's really good, so it goes click when it grabs down. The magnets are smooth because there are multiple coats of super glue in there in whatever the opening is, and it's turned down to go smooth with the outside. It's got bead detail, little wee bead there. The inside is clean and flat and smooth and all that. So I was very happy with this box on the way into the Mid-Atlantic. This would represent what I thought was my good work. And at the critique, they said, the Instant Gallery, they said what I've heard before, well, yeah, no, I wish you could hide the magnets. Well, I kind of like them. I don't want to hide them. I don't see any reason to, but it made me think about it. And they said, well, maybe you could make a sleeve of some kind. So I got thinking about that. And then I made, what did I make first? I got to get this one. No, I think I can't remember which one I made first. This one is done that way. This is Thuya burl that I bought at the Mid-Atlantic, and pear that I had in my inventory, and it opens like that. And the bottom of it is fine. The bottom of the magnets are visible the way they always have been, and I got the glue nicely to fill the holes and seal it. But the top is thicker than I like it because of what I did is I made a slip ring out of the Thuya and fit it onto the pear wood blank. So basically, I'm turning two boxes. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot of mating surfaces to get right. But I'm happy that my skills are up to doing that, and I got a lot out of Alan Lacer's scraper tips. I'm not happy with the shape of this one yet, and I'm working on another one that'll do this better, but I really like the contrast in color between the orangey pear and the darker brown of the Thuya burl. So I'm getting, and I like picture framing the whatever's on the top with a bead. So I didn't have enough wood to do it on the bottom. I was afraid I'd bust through, so I didn't want to do that. So that's where I got with that one. And then I thought, okay, let's make one in the same wood. So here's a basically a dupe of this design, except it's thicker, and I don't like that, but it is. It's just how it came out. This is I don't know what the wood is. Probably I ought to know, but I'm not sure. And it's a magnet box inside. And this is, again, I made a sleeve of the wood, and then I made the box with a extra wide flange and a smaller inside than I usually do, and made that to fit right over it, so that I could install the magnets in the usual fashion and then glue this outer sleeve on it. I did get Brazeau here. I chamfered this edge without realizing that that was then going to make the glue line more visible, and I don't want to reduce that distance because then it won't go snap the way I like. So it's all, it's you get a lot of ways to go wrong in these things, but that's where I got to with that. So I kind of like that. So there's the difference. There's this one, you see the magnet in the side of the box. See if I can get them close. And this one, you don't see the magnet in the side of the box. It's hidden inside, so it's a little more mysterious. People ask me if somebody saw it the other day and said, well, how'd you drill the hole like that? Oh, I got an angular laser that goes with my magnetly driven, whatever that thing is. And then I made this one. I showed you. And then I made this one, and this is Cocobolo, I believe, or some unknown rosewood. And this is made the same way. It's a sleeve that fits over the lid blank, so that I can cover the magnets and have about 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch of wood to work with. And I deliberately gave myself almost 1/4 here to work with, because I'm fooling around with those beading tools. I finally fell for the D-way pitch and bought the beading tools. I still would like the box wall to be thinner, and I might go back and remake this to get there, but I'm afraid I would have such a mess I probably won't.
John, can you slot the ring or put a blind slot in it so that it covers over the magnet? I think that would thin it out.
Yeah, but then I'm in danger of cutting into the magnet again. That's what I see. If I make this a lot thinner, the magnets are at that point in there. So if I make this thinner, then I'm going to cut into them again. So part of it, what I need to do is use a little bit shorter magnets here, which I started to do. And yeah, make this finer, I think, is my way to go. I don't want to get into cutting slots, because then I'll cut into them with whatever decorative thing I do out here. But I'm on a track here that's going to get me where I want to go. I mean, I'm heading for the kind of thickness. It doesn't feel clunky anymore. It's on the brink of clunky, but it doesn't feel too clunky. And if I can get rid of that double line in there, so you don't really know how the hell it was done, that's what I'm trying to do in the next ones. And I'm trying to get the way these meet here and the way it meets here to be related to each other. And I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but that's, and probably I'll have 2 or 3 little beads. Because I got out the box that started me on this many years ago. This is a box by David Pye. This is a little box, because that's all I could afford when I met him in England in the late 70s. And the fit is perfect. And there's a little bead on the lid there, and then there's a little curve, and then there's another bead up there. And then there's this beautiful engraved pattern that in some lights you see the engraved pattern, and in other lights you see the figure in the wood. And it's one of those demonstrations of how detail comes in and out of view at different distances, and also of workmanship of risk, really. I mean, this thing, like these things, every step along the way you're at risk of blowing it up, and that's part of the fun. That's why we do this.
Hey, John, what's your finish on that? Osmo?
Yeah, all the finish I'm using right now is Osmo.
The reason I asked is, it doesn't take up a lot of space. Like, how do you make, when you raw cut the wood, how do you make sure the fit doesn't get too tight when you Osmo it?
Osmo doesn't add anything to the finish.
To the thickness?
Doesn't add anything at all. And the other thing is, the Osmo, the way I used to use lacquer, I finish as I go along. As soon as I finish it, as I'm working, as soon as I'm done sanding the inside here, I might probably even still have a spigot out here, but I'm done sanding in here, I finish in here while it's on the lathe. So with Osmo, I can do that. I like that a lot. But it's
John, Have you thought about getting thinner magnets?
Yeah, they don't hold as well.
Well,
And
you know, I've seen straps where you have almost a solid strap around. You know, they're really thin, like the ones you put in your fridge or something like that, or you see them on the back of calendars. And I was just wondering, even though they don't hold as well, they might be a larger area or something like that that might help you be, black or whatever. But anyway,
well, the holding power of magnets is mostly to do with the volume of the magnet. So if you
yeah,
want to hold, a thinner one can be bigger. Uh, and I'm buying all the different sizes they have to experiment with as I go along. And I'm kind of settled on 3/16 diameter, but I'm thinking of, hey, maybe I can get a range of sizes in 1/10 diameter. And I
yeah,
think if I start to buy into the metric dimensions, I might get more sizes as well.
yeah,
So yes, a thinner magnets is a way to go. But one of my goals with this is it wants to stay closed in your bag. Uh,
yes.
I use these things for meds. I've seen other people use them for Tic Tacs, and I don't know whatever else people take and what I have with them. But with a snap lid box with a catch, it wants to stay closed in your bag, and that's part of. I want to have enough magnet there so it'll stay closed in a purse or in a briefcase or a suitcase.
You have any trouble keeping the magnets in over time?
I used to when they weren't glued well enough, but now I do a very complicated multi-step gluing operation. I glue them from both sides and I glue multiple times and then cut the glue off. So there's an intermediate stage in here where they're just glue all over the place. And I've seen that, they don't come out at one night once I took up that method of gluing.
CA glue?
Yeah, thin CA and maybe medium sometimes. Thick somehow doesn't have the same quality as the medium and the thin. But I want the thin to go down in the wood pores beside the magnet. So multiple hits of thin seems to be the best path.
Have you talked to Carol Hall about other ways of covering up that magnet, like a small? Some of her paints and stuff really stick well to metal, so it makes
Yeah,
it, you know.
yeah. There's a lot of ways people could do with that. I'm reluctant because I like them. I don't find them objectionable at all. I'm okay with the magnet in there, but I hear what they're saying, and so it's more of a challenge to me to do like this to get them hidden under wood, so it's wood
Yeah,
all the way around. I'm more interested in that
understood. Yeah,
because I'm no good at color. But yeah, especially if I collaborated with somebody who does colorful little goobas and painting, then that would be fun. You certainly can hide them that way.
John, why don't you put a veneer, make the box and then just put a veneer around the body of it to hide the magnets. Of course, you're going to have a splice line, but
I don't want the splice line.
oh, okay.
And I want to turn it. I want to do it all in the lathe. And I find this method of making a sleeve is very suitable for my technology. I can do that. I can make a really good fit if I don't like goof up and put a chamfer at the opening by reflex without thinking about it. Anybody else?
I think Angelo might help you make really thin sleeves. He gets his balls for his magic tricks really thin. So making an extremely thin sleeve, I know turning it wet and then using a scraper on the inside, you can get them down so you can see through the sleeve practically. So that's another option for you there as well.
Yeah, I got a lot of help out of Angelo, and I agree. That's part of what I'm working on now. What I'm doing now is, okay, so I want to make a detail with beads and a curve. Okay,
Yeah,
how thick am I cutting into that? So how
yeah,
thick does that need to be? So I have to make them in pear wood and cut them apart and measure them, because otherwise you just really don't know.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you all for the work out there. Bert?
I'd like to defer to Don. He has some interesting thing. Let Don show his that he missed last week, and then I've got something to show if we have time. But Don, you want to go?
Don, you ready to roll?
I'll try. See what happens. Here we go. It's not very much. See that?
Yep.
You can see it.
Yes.
This isn't my work. This is a friend of mine who I gave a couple of lessons to a couple of years ago, and I showed him how to make birch lanterns.
Right in the parlor there.
And he's come up with these mushrooms that he calls the fairy grotto mushrooms. There they are, unlit, and oh God, get off. And that's them lit. That's just a couple of photos, just to show that somebody has brought up another way of using the lanterns that Bert produced. So I'll come out of that and I'll just go back to a piece that I've got in my hand. I'm not certain if I've shown you this box before, but it's magnetic. And the magnets go through the side. And I put a rim on. You can see the magnets there. So to hide them, I made a rim on the outside and then turned it. It's got a recess just here, so that it fits over the pots, and it clicks on.
There you go.
With
Open that up again now. Let me see the inside again, please. Both begin. Hold them still. All right. Very nicely done. Nicely done.
So I've hidden the magnets on the outside by putting in this piece. And what I did there was I also put a burn line around here, so that it didn't look as if it had been added to the piece.
Right. I use little beads for that too. The glue line disappears into the bead.
Yeah, and matching.
Nice, nice. Now, what are you finishing that with, or what are you going to finish that with?
That's been used with Santa Sealer, buffed down on the lathe, and then taken off and used my 4-buff buffing system with the brown diamond Kanubi and a dry mop. That's
And
it, John. Thank you.
What do you, no, wait, stay with that for a minute. What do you do with the dry mop?
Right. Well, the first mop has got the brown compound.
Yeah.
The second mop has the white diamond.
Yeah.
The third mop has Kanubi.
Yeah.
Pure Kanubi. And then the dry mop is literally a mop with nothing on it. It just buffs off. And I clean the mop up occasionally with just a blade of some description, an old saw blade, just to take off any wax that's got adhered to it, and just use that to buff off. It's a bit like buffing with a dry cloth afterwards.
Okay, so do you think the white diamond leaves anything behind?
No, but I think what it does, it just helps take off that brown compound
Yeah.
as you're doing it, and just gives a bit more enhancement to the wood before you put the top wax on.
So you do that before, well, let me see. That's the total finish buffing, or is there another, are you buffing a finish like waterlocks or a varnish?
No, there's no other finish on there. That is it. Once I've done that with the buff, that is it.
So that'll spot, that's a wax finish and it'll spot with water.
I don't know. I've never tried it. I've never had it near water.
Yeah. Well, I did finishes like that and found that the wax, if the finisher was wax only, then it was at risk of spotting. And I believe it was like water from the kitchen sink getting on something that was nearby. I'm not sure, but I think that was it.
Yeah, well, that's where Odie's or Osmond would come in, wouldn't it?
That's why I'm using Osmo, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't buff the Osmo on that setup, but what I'm thinking is the dry wheel might be the right thing to buff up the Osmo at the end.
Well, it's something I do on nearly all my work now. Very rare I do anything else. I don't use very rarely do I use a wet wax, from a can. It is a Canubi stick.
Well, I often buff the Osmo with the white diamond and call that finished.
Yeah, but then you could use your buff again and just take that white diamond off and buff that up with your dry mop.
Yeah, I think I need a dry mop. That's where I'm heading.
Can I add something here? I think if you go to a microcrystalline wax, and instead of the carnauba will absorb moisture, but the microcrystalline, which is just a high polymer wax, is more resistant to humidity.
Well,
Like
Renaissance. Thank you, Mike.
Like Renaissance, or there's one Lee Valley cell here in Canada.
That was John, can you set aside? I'd like to hear some other people talk about microcrystalline, because the symposium's the first time I heard about that, and I'd like to hear about other people's views on using it.
I use it. I use it occasionally on things that'll be handled, because it doesn't show fingerprints nearly as much as carnauba wax. I'm still using a can of Renaissance wax I bought probably the first year I was turning, but since then I found that microcrystalline wax, as I understand it, is just we've got a couple of chemists. I guess Lamb's not on board today, but it's just a chemical, and Craft Supplies USA sells it a microcrystalline wax, which I think is virtually identical for about a third of the cost of Renaissance.
Well, do you put that on bare wood or on a finish?
No. It's not a finish. It's part of my finishing process. I always do something to seal the wood, usually Minwax antique oil, or possibly wipe on poly, or like Don, if I'm in a real hurry, sometimes I'll use that lacquer sanding sealer, just because it dries in seconds.
Yeah. I find that with this, I don't get any fingerprints at all. There's no finger marks come up on this at all. You can handle it, and it's lovely and smooth, but it might not take water.
But when I compare that to the Beal, what they call the Beal buffing system over here, I've done a lot of pieces where I've just buffed and waxed it. Can I just replace the carnauba with micro finish and get microcrystalline and get the same sort of finish?
Yeah,
sure. I do that. I do that, Doug, all the time. Yeah, I have one wheel I've reserved for microcrystalline, so that I don't get, because the carnauba, you'll never get rid of it on the wheel.
No,
it's there.
That's why forever. I use the one dry buffing wheel right at the end.
Yeah.
But the microcrystalline wax, I don't think you have to buff it. You can just rub it on and hand polish it with a rag, because it's going on so thin. It does not require a buffing mop.
It's basically like a paraffin. It's in the paraffin series. We had a company here in Toronto, International Waxes, and back in my Fisher Scientific days, I visited the lab. I got digging into the chemistry of these waxes, and there was controversy about the one that Lee Valley sold didn't have as much wax as the Renaissance, blah, 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 blah. But you're only putting on a few molecules. It's really very thin. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and a little goes a long, long way.
I'm the same as you, Mike. My original can is like that high, and I've still got half of it after 20 years.
Yeah.
I bought a can of it when I was at school in Rochester in the early 70s. So how about that? It's probably 50 years old. We're almost on the hour. Bowman or Bert? Bert, you started this. Let's.
Well, I've got a couple of pictures, but we're at the hour, so we'll put it off till next week.
Okay, Bowman, you want a last word? You got a minute here.
I have one quick question. Let me share. I'm trying these wide brim. This happened to be pin oak I picked up at the Lancaster shop at the Lancaster Club. The question I have is, I was disappointed. I was using teal crystals or whatever, and I stuffed them in there and then I filled the track with clear short order epoxy. I wasn't impressed with the finish. Did I put too many in, or what's the problem? Um, here gives
You
you an
didn't,
idea.
you
These are
didn't,
the things I filled in. So,
you didn't polish it enough, I think.
well, I tried a number of things. These are really old crystals or whatever they are. I got it from a friend who cleaned out an old guy's shop and had this in it. So,
I,
okay, I just
I kind of like that look, actually. That's not bad at all. But if
oh
you saw Zimmerman auto finishes at the Mid Atlantic,
yes, I did.
that's our member Andre. Uh, you know, he knows how to polish that to mirror shine.
Well, maybe I just need to work in the polishing a little more.
It'll look like jade.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try some more. I use it on oak for some reason or other. This one I cracked, but heck, just match the color and fill it. So,
Going to see you all next week.
yep. Let me get rid of my.
And for all, everybody good?
Yep.
Bye, y'all.
Won't see you
Hey,
next week. I shan't
thanks,
be
Mike.
there.
Thanks, Lancaster Club. You did a good job. Appreciate everything you did.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.